As China attempts to advance its territorial claims over Taiwan, it appears to be using religion to vie for political influence. China has long mixed pressure with persuasion. Beijing has been conducting more military drills near Taiwan while also trying to expand its influence throughout Taiwanese society. DW East Asia correspondent Rick Lowert reports on how spiritual ties across the strait are becoming part of the political contest.
At his influential temple in central Taiwan, Zheng Mingkun prays to the sea goddess Mazu, who has millions of followers in both Taiwan and China across the strait.
People on both sides of the strait aren't like relations with other countries. We're more like brothers. We separated because of conflict. With Mazu's blessing, I believe the two sides can move toward peace.
Zheng is an important figure among Mazu worshippers. He often visits China and has met with Communist Party officials there. Zheng's approach fits with that of Taiwan's opposition party, with which he has links. It's one side of the debate in Taiwan about whether engaging with China reduces or increases risks. His position is seen by some as offering an opening for Chinese infiltration. Taiwan's temples aren't just sacred spaces, they're also social networks. And that makes them very interesting to the Chinese Communist Party, as it looks to influence Taiwanese public opinion. Chinese military drills around Taiwan are just the most obvious aspect of its effort to pressure the democratic island into accepting Beijing's claim of sovereignty. And Taiwan is doing what it can to put up a defense against those military threats. Now, they're also taking their response to temples, like this one in southern Taiwan, to promote civil defense and counter disinformation.
There are many types of infiltration methods they are using to conduct this infiltration and to, infiltrate the society. So that's a threat we are facing nowadays, and almost on a daily basis. So what we need to do is, having this conversation with the religious leaders, and also having these events located into the most grassroots base of the society is actually also a way to push back this type of infiltration.
For many worshippers, the growing political attention on temples is an uncomfortable reminder that China's claims over Taiwan are reaching into every part of daily life.
How could anyone use religion as a tool? I was quite surprised because faith usually comes from a good place. It shouldn't be dragged into politics.
Religion should be used to maintain peace, not for political attacks.
I
feel that religion is just religion. It shouldn't be a political tool.
Mazu is a goddess of the sea and of peace, worshipped by generations who crossed the waters between China and Taiwan in both directions, swapping trade and culture. The strait that once linked them now increasingly divides them, and this goddess of the sea is caught in between.
Now, that was, of course, DW's Rick Lowert who filed that report, and he joins us now from Taipei. So, Rick, here in Germany, many religious communities are losing members daily, but it seems like traditional temples still play a large role in daily life in Taiwan.
Yes, temples here are a really big part of life here in Taiwan. People worshipping Buddhism, Taoism, and those local folk religions like you saw in the piece. In some places in Taiwan, there is literally a temple on every corner, and quite a famous statistic in Taiwan is that there are more temples than there are convenience stores. So they're a really important part of daily life. It's not just where people go to worship, but people meet there, they gather there, whether that's local politicians, local business people, civic groups, charities. So they're really important community hubs, and they also play a role in coordinating responses to disasters. I've seen temples being used when Taiwan's been hit by earthquakes or typhoons to distribute resources. And in fact, one of the temples we visited for that piece has an air raid shelter underneath the temple.
So how exactly does religious belief fit in with Beijing's broader strategy to bring Taiwan back into its political fold?
Well, China has a whole toolbox to pressure Taiwan. I mean, there's intimidation and there's also infiltration. In terms of intimidation, that's where we see economic pressure put on Taiwan, banning imports or sanctions. We also see diplomatic, political pressure, doesn't let Taiwan have a voice on the world stage. And of course, that military pressure, we see all those drills around Taiwan by the Chinese military. But there's also infiltration. China in the last couple of years has really ramped up its espionage tactics against Taiwan, trying to infiltrate the military and also the security agencies. But that infiltration also goes to kind of grassroots level. There's a whole department in China called the United Front Work Department, and they're really trying to shape conversations from a grassroots level, pushing Beijing's narrative. So on a simple level, that could be pushing that Taiwan is part of China, but also trying to spread discourse, whether that's making people believe less in Taiwan's functioning democracy, or whether it's putting people off the ruling party, the Democratic Progressive Party, who favor, closer ties with other places, with the US, and doesn't favor uniting with Beijing.
All right, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. That was DW's East Asia correspondent Rick Lauert. Thank you very much for your reporting.